Hi everyone, welcome to Byte and Beyond with Uday. In this video, we are going to learn about how to integrate multiple AI in our Spring AI application. So in this image, you can see we have our Spring AI application and we have integrated OpenAI and the Gemini. So that's what we are going to learn today, how we can integrate multiple AIs. So let's do this. So this is pretty high level architecture. You can see this is the user input. In the input, along with your prompt, you can select which AI you want to use. Let's say you want to use Gemini. So you just select Gemini and your prompt. You send it to Spring AI, meaning our application, and our application, as per your input, select the actual provider. For example, in this case, you have selected Gemini. So our application send your prompt to Gemini and Gemini give us the response. So that's what we are going to do today. So before we jump into the coding, I would like to show you the quick demo so you guys can relate. All right. So you can see this is the GUI which I have built for the demonstration purpose. And you can see this is the new thing or new field which I have added. From here, you can select which AI you would like to use. Let's say I would like to use Gemini. All right. And as per the Gemini, my model is changed. So for the Gemini, I'm using Gemini 2.5 Flash. All right. And this is the tokens. And my question is how does Kubernetes handle self-healing? So let me hit the send button and see what happens. All right, response is being prepared. Yeah, and you can see this is incomplete response, I would say. So what I will do, I will just increase my token size and I will hit the send button again. Let's see what happens this time. I believe the tokens were not sufficient for the previous request. That's why we got the pretty small response. So now you can see we have meaningful response. All right. So this response we received from the Gemini, and you can see we have received in multiple chunks. So we have basically streamed this response instead of waiting for the whole response. Similarly, if I need to use, let's say OpenAI or ChatGPT, I can simply select OpenAI. Model changed GPT 5.4 Nano, and of course I can change my question. Let's say write an email for, let's say, sick leave. All right, we all do this. We need to write an email, and I don't think so we need 1000 or 2000 tokens just to write an email. I think 500 tokens are sufficient. Temperature one is good. Let's hit the send button. You can see we have the email. Dear manager, I'm writing to inform you that I'm not feeling well, right? And you can see one difference. I just would like to spot some light on this. GPT send lots of chunks. All right, it sends lots of chunks, and inside those chunks, we have pretty small amount of data. But in case of Gemini, it only sends few chunks, but those few chunks contains lots of data. So that is the main difference I have noticed between these two provider. All right, this is just the demo. So now let's learn how we can implement this. All right. So this is the main objective, not the demo. Demo is for the understanding purpose. So yeah, uh, let's jump into the technical stuff. So this is the technical stuff. We will going to build the provider abstraction and everything. But before we reach to this point, we need to do some prerequisite. For example, these are the points I have prepared. First thing, what we need to do, we need to add um, this dependency inside our pom.xml. All right. So let me open the pom.xml, pom.xml, and you will see over here two dependencies. One for the OpenAI, another one for the Google Gen AI, meaning Gemini. This is for the Gemini. So because why we have added? Because I want to use OpenAI and the Gemini. So that is why we need to add this dependency. All right, perfect. And once this is done, and as you know, you can find this dependency on the Spring initializer. You just need to type Google Gen AI. That is it, and you will find it. All right, and yeah, once that is done, our first step is done. All right. Now, what is the next step? So, our next step is to configure application.yaml file. So, in application.yaml file, we need to configure this to AI. All right. So, if you see over here, you can see two sections. One for the OpenAI, another one is for the Gemini. All right. So, if you can see OpenAI section, you need to configure your API key. For OpenAI, this is the API. You can, get your what I can say this API key from this URL. All right, I already demonstrated that, and you can just paste it down your key over here like this. Let's say like this. All right, let me undo this. And these are the few default option: model, temperature, and the tokens. Same for the Gen AI. I mean the Gemini basically. So you need to create your API key. Just you need to go to this URL. All right. So let me just go and show it to you. API keys. All right. And you need to just hit on this one. Create API key. And yeah, one. I mean, one advantage is here that you can see my tire is free tire, meaning you can you can use the Gemini API for the free for I mean for the particular limit. All right, and this limit is that limit is pretty reasonable, that you won't exhaust your tokens or the your API limit. So yeah, you can use the Gemini for free. So yeah, go ahead and create your API key from here. Copy that API key, come to your application and paste it down over here. All right. Or you can configure in your environment variable. But the easiest thing for you is just add your key over here. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Just like this. And yeah, Gemini 2.5 flash and 3.5 flash you can use, which I have, played with these two models, 2.5 and 3.5. I'm keeping the temperature 1 and the default token is 500. So yeah, that's all you need to do in the application.yaml file. This is the common system message which I have prepared. So you can use that. You can keep this as it is. All right, because it is pretty tuned to give a better response. So yes, once your configuration done, come again to this whiteboard and you can see one more thing we have changed is to change chat request DTO. All right, so let me go to the chat request. You can see chat request. So everything is same. Prompt which contains our message, but yeah, system which contains the system message. Provider is new. So because now we have two provider, OpenAI and the Gemini. So you need to send as an input which provider you would like to use, just like in the GUI. So you can see in the GUI, I'm sending the provider, all right, along with the prompt, system, model, temperature, tokens, all right. I'm sending the provider as well, OpenAI, Gemini, all right. So this is for that. Provider, model, temperature, and max completion tokens you already know. This is just a helper method, has no model overrides, meaning if I'm not sending these inputs, you can see in this postman as well. If I'm not sending these inputs, all right. So whatever I have configured in my application.yaml file, that is going to be used. All right. So I'm basically checking in our service layer that does user have provided inputs. If user does not have provided any inputs, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. So if user is not providing an input, we are going to use the configuration which we have done inside the application.yaml file. So there is no input from the user. We are going to use this one. And if there are input received from the user, all right, we are going to use this user inputs. So that is the main purpose of having this helper method, which we are going to use in our service layer. So I will show you that where exactly we are using it. All right. Now, now you might thinking why I'm not doing coding and why I'm just showing you the code. The only reason is if I type the code while I was making a video, our video will be 1 hour or at least 1 hour 30 minutes long. So nobody is going to watch that kind of long video. So that is why I have already done the coding and I'm explaining you how you can do in your case step by step. So that is the main agenda, to keep our video short and simple. So let's jump to our whiteboard. Whiteboard basically help us to build this application step by step. All right. So yeah, chat request is done. Now, as we know, we have two providers. So we need to create a provider interface. So before we do that, let me show you the slide where I'm explaining what exactly we are doing. So the idea is we are going to use strategy pattern, and as per the user input, we are going to switch between OpenAI and the Gemini AI provider. All right. So what I have done, I have created one interface which is chat provider. All right. It has few methods. All right. We will go and I will explain you what exactly it does. And then I have created two concrete classes. One is for the OpenAI, another one is for the Gemini. So why I'm doing like this? Why I have created these classes and the interfaces? Because I don't want to pollute my service layer with the if else condition. Because if I do that, I'm breaking few principle. For example, open close principle. All right, which says our software entities should be open for extension and closed for modification. So if you just pollute your service layer with if else condition, you are going to introduce more bugs and your application will be messy. And to avoid those things, we have design patterns and few principles to keep our application well maintained, and that basically help us to design our application in a proper way. So yes, we have interface. We have two providers, OpenAI and the Gemini. Now let's say in future, new provider. I want to introduce new provider. Let's say Claude from Anthropic. All right. So what I need to do, I just need to create one more class. let's say Claude chat provider or Anthropic chat provider, and I am going to implement this interface. That is it. My service layer will remain unchanged. I mean, my service layer will remain as it is. I don't need to change anything over there. All right. I just need to create one class, all right, that implements this chat provider, and I will write my implementation inside these classes. So I will explain you, but this is the architecture interface. Who class is going to implement these interfaces, all right, and it has its own logic. OpenAI chat provider has its own logic to communicate with the OpenAI. Gemini has its own logic to communicate with the Gemini. All right. So this is the idea behind this design. All right. So let's go to the chat provider interface. So you can see here is the chat provider interface, and you can see few methods, abstract method over here. This basically returns the ID. Whether it is, I will explain you when I go inside the concrete class. So ID basically return OpenAI or Gemini. Chat model basically returns the chat model bean which we have inside that particular concrete class. I will explain you that as well. And this basically help us to build options for the prompt. Once we go inside the concrete class, you will get the better idea. Don't worry about these three methods for now. And these are the two default methods which is common for the all the providers. So that is why I have kept this method as default. So I don't need to use this, or I don't need to declare these methods in each and every concrete classes. I can just use this interface methods. I mean default interface method. So this basically synchronized chat, and this is the streaming chat which we have just seen in the GUI. All right, we are streaming the response. So yeah, this basically help us to communicate with what I can say, chat provider, OpenAI or the Gemini. You can see I'm calling chat model and then stream, and I'm sending my prompt, and I'm streaming the response from the AI. If I have response, I am returning it. All right. So yeah, these methods are for that. Now let's jump into the whiteboard once again. So chat model clear. I mean chat provider interface is clear. Now let's jump into the implementation. So we have two implementation. You can see. First one is the OpenAI. Let me open the OpenAI. You can see just like in this slide, we have OpenAI. It implements the chat provider. All right. So you can see OpenAI chat provider implements the interface, and this is the ID OpenAI, and this basically returns what AI this is. This is the OpenAI, so I am returning this ID, and this is static because this usually does not change. This is the chat model, all right, uh, that I am returning over here. I mean, I have injected this chat model via constructor dependency injection, mm, and I am basically returning from here. I'm going to use all of this in the service layer. But before I show you the service layer, this AI chat service layer, we need to build these things, because this everything, whatever we have built, we are going to use inside our AI chat service layer. So that is why I'm explaining these things before we jump into the AI chat service layer. So this basically returns the chat model, and this method, two option basically help us to prepare an option. Two options you can see. This is the has no model overrides, which we have introduced in the chat request. If there is no input from the user, we are going to return null, meaning in that case, application YAML configuration going to be used. If user is provide inputs such as temperature tokens, we are going to use over here. You can see model, temperature, max completion tokens. All right. And I am going to return this option. That is it. If I open the Gemini chat provider, same. You can see similar ID, Gemini, Google Gen AI chat model. I have injected this via constructor dependency injection. These are the methods which we are overriding. All right. We are overriding from the interface. ID returns the ID, chat model returns the chat model, and these two options basically help us to prepare the options for the prompt. So this method we are going to use inside our AI chat service IMPL. All right. So now you understood. ID returns the ID, chat model returns the this Gemini chat model, and this basically help us to prepare options for the prompt. So clear, right? Perfect. Now jump into our whiteboard once again. Let me close other tabs. Close other tabs. Okay. Now we have, as per this slide, we have two implementation, OpenAI and the Gemini. Perfect. And now another thing is chat provider registry. So as we have multiple models, um, I want to maintain a registry where all of this provider, whether it is OpenAI, Gemini, or in future, let's say Claude, all models or all chat provider going to register with the chat provider registry. So let me show you the slide so you get the better idea. So how chat provider registry basically going to work? So we are going to maintain whatever provider we have. In as of now, we have two providers, OpenAI and the Gemini. All right. Now user request, let's say Gemini. So we inside our service layer, we go to this provider registry. All right. We go to this provider registry and ask, hey, I need Gemini. So this provider registry help us to give the Gemini chat provider, which we have just built over here in this slide. You can see OpenAI and Gemini chat provider. So if I say Gemini, this chat provider registry help me to provide the Gemini chat provider. Now let's say if user says OpenAI, this registry going to provide us the OpenAI chat provider. So over here, this is basically the register like phone book directory. Let's say I say give me Uday Patel phone number. So it will give me the Uday Patel's phone number. So that's how it works. You give the input, it gives the chat provider. Let's say in this case, Gemini. So we have received the Gemini as a chat provider at the runtime. All right. So we can use multiple chat provider as per the user request because we are not hard coding anything over here. So this is the example of registry pattern, registry design pattern. As per the user input, we are checking our registry and we are providing the AI chat provider. All right. If nothing is there, we have OpenAI as a default. Okay. So yeah, this is the idea behind to have registry, chat provider registry. So now let me open this chat provider registry and show you to what exactly it has. So you can see chat provider registry marked with the @ component. All right. So Spring can create a bean out of it and store it in the Spring context, and we can use it inside our service layer. So this also we are going to use in service layer. You will get the better picture. All right. Of each and every components, how exactly we are using it. But before we jump into the how we are using it, let's understand why we have built it and how we have built it. All right. So this is the registry and this is the constructor. and you can see I have listed down over here chat provider. I mean, this is the list, and I'm expecting the provider list. So this provider list, when I start my Spring Boot application, this provider list uh, will be injected by the Spring Boot itself. And what exactly it is going to inject? It is going to inject these two providers. These two chat providers. These two. I mean, Gemini and the OpenAI. All right, because you can see these two interfaces implementing this chat provider interface. So if you go, this belongs to the chat provider interface. You can see chat provider interface. Now you can see this interface is implemented by two classes, Gemini and the OpenAI. All right. So Spring Boot knows that we have two classes. So it provides two classes as a list at index, let's say OpenAI at index 1, then it at index 0 we have OpenAI, at index 1 we have Gemini. So this basically injected by the Spring Boot itself. We don't need to do anything. We just need to create this constructor. Now, once Spring Boot is inject, you can see I have a map over here. So what I am doing, I am streaming to this list. I am doing two things over here. I am building unmodifiable map, meaning we cannot modify this map once it is created. And as a key, I am storing the ID. So what is our key? I mean, what is our ID? So you can see this is this ID. And if I go inside this implementation, it returns basically Gemini or the OpenAI. So that is our key. All right. So over here, I will either get Gemini or the OpenAI as a text, as a string, and function identity, meaning it is basically giving the whatever input we are getting, it is giving the same as a output. So we are receiving input as a chat provider. So let's say at index 0, we have OpenAI chat provider, this class, we are storing it as a value. All right. So our data will be like something like this. Let me explain you. So OpenAI, all right. This is so you can see OpenAI chat provider instance. If then another key is Gemini, and then we have Gemini chat provider instance. So that's how it works. So key is OpenAI, class is OpenAI chat provider, this one. Now key is Gemini, class is Gemini chat provider, this one. So that's how we have stored over here. All right, and this is the resolve method that basically we are using at the runtime. So you can see this is the chat request which we will get from the user. You can see in the postman, and I am sending the provider. So let's say I am sending OpenAI. So the code comes over here. This is the request, and this is the default provider ID. So in our case, it is OpenAI. So what will happen? You can see from the request, I am getting the provider. Let's say it's a Gemini. In our case, let's say it's a Gemini. So this contains the value. If this contains the value, we are going to get the provider ID. And once we have the provider ID, we are fetching the provider from this map. You can see provider. And if provider is not null, we are returning it. So at a high level, if I explain this method, if you ask for the OpenAI, it will return the OpenAI chat provider. If you ask for the Gemini in the request, it will provide you the Gemini. That is it. So I believe this provider resolution is also, I mean, provider chat provider registry is also clear. This works like a dictionary, all right? So in this video, we will cover till chat provider registry, rest of the remaining things such as prompt factory, refactor of AI chat service IMPL, and the demo we will cover in the next part. In the next part, along with these topics, I will explain the whole architecture as well. So you guys can connect the dots and you guys can have better understanding how things works end to end as per the user inputs. So stay tuned. See you in the next video. Till then, bye. And of course, if you find my video useful, then please like, share, subscribe, comment. See you in the next video.